Welcome to another edition of NIU Weekly. I'm Terry Bonadonna here with your weekly public service announcement that if you're not in DeKalb this weekend, you've made a wrong choice somewhere because we've got a big weekend coming up of Husky athletics. Volleyball is hosting Akron Thursday, Friday, and then football takes on UMass at Huskie Stadium on Saturday. We're going to do a lot of promoting of those events over the course of this episode today. So I will be joined a little bit later by Thomas Hammock, as I am every week, the head coach of the Huskies football team, and Sondra D'Amore, the head coach of the Huskies volleyball team, will be joining me a little bit later as well. Before we get to the guests, just a few bits of housekeeping because I want to make sure you know everything that is going on this weekend, starting with that football game on Saturday, because it is a home game. It's a morning start time. Remember, 11 a.m. as they host UMass, the not quite current conference rival, but UMass will be joining the MAC pretty soon. It is Pup Club Day on Saturday. It's also Employee Appreciation Day, and it's also Scout Day. So a lot going on Saturday at Huskie Stadium. And in addition to all of that, it is the cancer awareness game, which means fans can get Westside Reserve tickets for just $20. Use the promo code Huskies20K. Again, that's Huskies20K. You get $20 tickets on the west side of the field, or you can get East Side general admission tickets for just $12.50. Remember, that's $12.50 in honor of the 125th anniversary season of Huskies athletics. There are, remember, 5 game day locations at Huskie Stadium. You can purchase your Husky gear. That includes locations in the yard, the store in the recreation center, stands on the east and west sides of the stadium, and in addition to all of your usual merchandise that you can pick up at any one of those locations on game day. This week, in honor of the cancer awareness game, there will be t-shirts for cancer awareness that come in a variety of different colors representing the fight against different types of cancer. Those t-shirts are just $15 each, and you can actually get one for free with the purchase of an NIU hoodie. So again, free cancer awareness t-shirt with the purchase of a hoodie, or $15 for those cancer awareness t-shirts individually. Move on from that football game on Saturday for just a second, because I do want to briefly mention basketball season. It is October, which means we seriously have to start thinking of basketball season now. Schedules are out. They're available, NIUHuskies.com. Season tickets are available, and we know it's going to be a really exciting season at the Convocation Center. So make sure you pick up your tickets and come out and join us for those basketball games this winter. Men's tickets start at $105 for season tickets for general admission seats, $120 for reserved tickets. Women's basketball tickets are priced at $35 and $50 for general admission and reserved seats, respectively. There are discounts available if you are NIU faculty, staff, part of the Alumni Association, and for varsity club members and senior citizens as well. So go to NIUHuskies.com for more information on all of that. If you have any questions about tickets, or if you're ready to purchase your tickets right now, that's NIUHuskies.com/tickets. You can also call the number 815-753-PACK. That's 815-753-7225. And that'll get you all hooked up with NIU tickets for basketball season, which is right around the corner, and for everything else that's going on in the world of NIU athletics as well. So hopefully we'll see you out in DeKalb for some of these games very soon. Now, with that in mind, we've got a big football game coming up this Saturday. So let's welcome our first guest. Coach Thomas Hammock, the head coach of the Huskies football team, is joining us once again. I'm very happy to have him here as our first guest this week on NIU Weekly. Coach, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You know, it's never as fun to talk about a loss as it is to talk about a win, but I know you've had a few days to reflect on that game against NC State. Just as an observer, it was a good game. It was very exciting. It came down to the wire. It was hard fought. You certainly were not overmatched by an opponent from the ACC on the road that very rarely loses at home. What did you think overall about that team's performance and the way the game played out, now having a few days of perspective on it?
Yeah, I mean, certainly just disappointed with the outcome, but, disappointed with some of the things that we did that were, kind of uncharacteristic. You can't turn the ball over 4 times and expect to win. Was disappointed with some of our special teams from the standpoint of field position. We lost the field position battle tremendously. Our inability to field punts, our inability to punt the ball well, all that goes into, the lack of success on offense. The closer you can get to the goal line, the better your chance is to score. So we have to play a team game, a complementary game in all three phases, and we certainly did not get that done on Saturday.
Let's talk about the one phase that really was spectacular on Saturday, as they have been all season, which is the defense. Your defense has given up only just over 350 yards the last 2 weeks combined against Buffalo and against NC State. What have you been working on with the defensive coordinator, Nick Benedetto, and how do you feel like they've been able to execute it so well?
Well, I think, it really comes down to the players. We have really, really good players on that side of the ball, and they playing together. They buying into what's being coached. Our defensive coaches have done a good job putting them in position. But at the end of the day, you can have the greatest schemes in the world and very average players, and it doesn't look well. So that's a testament to our players that have grown in our program, that's took lumps early in their career. I know early in my tenure, there was a lot of talk about we couldn't play good defense, and really it just took time for those guys to mature in the program and get reps and experience. So been very pleased, with the defense, homegrown talent. We're not a transfer portal type operation, and all these guys were guys that develop in our program, and I couldn't be more excited about their continued growth.
Yeah, and I feel like we've spent a lot of time over the last few weeks talking about the defense kind of in the abstract. The defense does this well, the defense does that well. But I'd love to highlight some of these specific players because a lot of guys really have stepped up. One guy on Saturday, Roy Williams, led the team with 6 tackles. He had a sack. How has he been able to contribute to this team along with the rest of the defensive line?
Well, I think Roy is definitely a big physical presence on our defense. He's an alpha. He's a guy that came here and he developed. Coach Moore has done a phenomenal job helping him grow as a person and a player, and he's showing his dominance on the football field. So, sometimes it's hard to talk about individual players when people are trying to poach your roster. But certainly excited about the development of guys in our program, and hopefully we can continue to do so.
You held a talented young quarterback, CJ Bailey, and he doesn't have a lot of experience, but he's certainly shown flashes in the few games that he's played that he could put up some big numbers. You held him to just over 100 yards passing on Saturday. Do you think the bigger key to that is the defensive line, which is providing a little pressure, making things difficult for him, or is the secondary giving that defensive line a little bit more time to put that pressure on?
Yeah, our secondary is really good. So we got corners that can cover. And when you have corners that can cover on defense, it makes everybody else's job easier. So those guys are competitive. They compete for the ball. They make it hard to get open. And obviously the combination of our defensive line and our secondary. But we got guys that can cover. And we feel very confident that those guys can continue to do their job, which makes everybody else's job easier.
Let's switch over to the offense for a moment here. Ontario Brown had another big game, over 100 yards rushing. He had a career high 28 carries in that game, and that's even despite the fact that Gavin Williams was the guy on the field for that final drive of the game. What do you think he was doing so effectively that allowed you to have the trust to keep giving him the ball that many times?
Well, we talked about it early in the week about this was going to be a dirty game, meaning, 2 and 3 and 4 yard runs are good runs. And I was glad that, he stayed in the fight. He should gain great confidence from that game, knowing that he can do the things necessary at the running back position, no matter what type of game it is, whether he's breaking 60-yard runs or he's got to get consistent 2 and 3 yard runs, that he has the ability to play whatever style of game it is.
There was a rare problem in the passing game on Saturday, which is that Ethan Hampton didn't have as much time to throw as he typically does. No sacks allowed by your offense in the first 3 games of the year. NC State was able to get to him 4 times on Saturday, and that included a couple of fumbles that resulted in touchdowns for NC State. What did you think they did so well to be able to penetrate your offensive line, which is something that teams really haven't been able to do this year?
Well, they sold out. They went cover zero blitz. So, when a team goes cover zero, they're going to have one more guy than you can block. And, what, testament to them. Rarely do you see that much cover zero in the open field. Normally, people get to it in situations like the red zone or, different situations that may come up in a game. And they they said, "Hey, this is our opportunity to change the game," and they were able to change the game by selling out, and that's a good job by them. But we got to get better for that because obviously, it's a copycat type of situation. So if you see one team have success, team that will follow will try the similar things.
How do you combat that in the future? Is that a change in play call, or is that just telling your players this is coming, you've got to be ready to make a play?
Well, I think there's some things we can do formationally. There's some things we can do scheme wise to make sure that if somebody wants to do that, we can give the quarterback max amount of time to get the ball off.
Let's look ahead to this week's game. You've got UMass on the schedule back at home. UMass, of course, is not a conference opponent right now, but they're going to be entering the MAC. So they're kind of in that weird in-between stage right now. They're playing half of a MAC schedule. So you've been able to look back at some of their game film from the last few weeks against a lot of very familiar opponents to you, including Buffalo, who both teams have already seen this year. The Minutemen played well last week. They really took Miami down to the wire. Where do you think they'll provide challenges this week?
Yeah, I mean, this is a good football team, very good on defense. I know Coach Brown leads that department, and they're very sound with what they do. They understand what they want their players to do, and the players go out there and execute, and they can create havoc on third down. So, we have to be really, really good on offense. Like I told them, we have to reserve the right to punt the ball and obviously go back out there and play defense, but we can't turn the ball over. And then offensively, everything runs through the quarterback. Quarterback is a big athlete that can throw it. He can run it. He can create a lot of problems. Their running backs are really, really good. So we have a tremendous challenge ahead of us to make sure that we can be the best that we can be to play complementary football.
You mentioned reserving the right to punt the ball, and obviously we talked about field position being such a big deal this past Saturday against NC State. How much have you preached that this week?
Well, I think, sometimes you can overtalk things. Obviously our players understand what they need to do. So I don't want to put negative thoughts in their mind. I want them to be positive, practice the right way, and then go out there and play. And we had an excellent practice this morning. Excited about the rest of the week. And those are the only things that we can do to get ourselves prepared to play.
Back at home, of course, for this game against UMass this week. It's a morning game, first morning game at home this year, but there was just a sensational atmosphere at Huskie Stadium for the last home game a couple of weeks ago against Buffalo. What do you want to see this week?
Yeah, hopefully the same type of crowd. I know they fighting to get 20,000 fans in attendance, and hopefully we can get that done because I promise you we will play a much better style of football at home and try to do everything possible to win the game.
Thomas Hammock, the head coach of the Huskies football team. Thank you as always for your time on NIU Weekly.
Thank you, and go Huskies.
Our next guest here on NIU Weekly is the second-year head volleyball coach at NIU, Sondra D'Amore. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Let's talk about how things have been going so far to start MAC season. You just got things rolling over the last week against Toledo, and now you're coming home to get the home schedule started here in MAC play against Akron. What did you see over this weekend, and how do you feel you can transfer that into some wins against Akron?
Yeah, I think we got pushed pretty early with Toledo, which, was to be expected. And why we scheduled Northwestern that fourth weekend. They're a physical team, Toledo is, and I think it's besides Northwestern, the first couple times we've really seen that in an opponent. So we just got to continue to find ways to score, and especially offensively, I think we're doing some good things in a lot of aspects of your game. They're just not putting enough points on the board, to close out some of those sets. So I think it was a good test early on, for the team to see areas that we have to improve on, and just keep pushing in the practice gym to improve there.
Regardless of results, just in terms of the development of the team right now, where do you feel like you stand here at the start of conference play?
Yeah, I think we are getting better and better. I think one of the hardest parts in season is there's not a lot of time between match and another match to really see big strides of improvement. So, I know as a group, especially having some young athletes on the floor, like they are getting better every time they step out there. But, as a coaching staff right now, we're really trying to find ways to get better even quicker because, we play here in two days again. So I think it's really going to come down to us this year and how fast we can improve to see how we can really battle in the MAC.
Let's talk about some of the individual players on the team who have been performing well. Charlie Atiemo, the middle blocker, has been really strong, third on the team in kills and third in the conference so far this season in hitting percentage. What has she brought to this team, both on and off the court?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, on the court, I think she has really become more versatile in what she's doing from a middle perspective. We've been able to, get her better in front of the setter, and, that the slide has always been lethal for her. So, as a coaching staff, we're trying to find ways to just get that into the offense one way or another. Whether it is making switch calls or running it on first ball and then getting her back in the middle. We really wanted that to be a priority this year, especially with our ball control being there. So I think she's developing her offensive range really well, and just an area to keep pushing. And then, off the floor, I mean, it just continues to be a leader for us. And, I think having a senior on the floor, having that experience with someone who has played as much as she has is beneficial for the team, to kind of learn from that. Yeah.
Nasli Govner had some nice work over the past weekend against Toledo. What kind of development have you seen from her over the course of this season?
Yeah. Naz has an incredible arm. It's really important to have a lot of pace at this level to score. And she does have that with her arm swing. I think the more we can allow her to be fearless is something we talk about, and just swing for kills all the time. She definitely has the ability to do it. So I think, she's another one we just got to keep pushing to trust herself and her training to do it throughout an entire course of a match, because, some of the matches that you are seeing her in the double digit range, like, she definitely can do it. So, she's getting better as well, and just continuing to really push that next level of her game.
We've been talking a lot about some of the offense and the attacking at the net. Let's drip back a line a little bit and talk about Crew Hoffmeyer. How's she been as your libero this year?
Yeah, just a rock, just steady performer. I think that's, as a coaching staff, you want that in as many athletes as possible, someone that you just know this is what you're going to get from them on, not just every day on, in the practice gym, but performance wise. So that's been really her most valuable trait, is you just, what you can get there from a passing side, from a defense side. She's really starting to use her voice and become, a leader on the court as well. And that's just invaluable, especially when the performance piece is there. Really, really liking what we're seeing from Crew right now.
I'm going out of order a little bit, but I'm stepping back up to the net now. So I want to talk about some of the youth movement on the team. You obviously are a young coach developing this team. So it's big to bring in these young players as well who can grow with you and grow with the program. Ava Gravengood leads the team in kills right now with 136 of them entering this weekend. She's adapted to the college game pretty quickly. How do you think she's been able to do that?
She has. I do think mindset has a lot to do with it. She's a competitor. She carries herself with confidence. And, I think, we know what not just her, but, a lot of our young ones are capable of. They came from, high level programs where they've seen a lot of success. And I think that's something that is really just invaluable to have. The college jump is a jump. And I think they've seen that as well. Like, it is still a jump that they have to, get up to, but, they're embracing that challenge. And I think that's really all that you can ask for, with young players is, they want to get better. They want to stay extra and find ways to develop their game. And, so they can get to that level as quickly as possible. So, she's one that I do think is getting better every single time she steps on the floor. She's learning something new. And, I think you're seeing her range just increase the more she plays. So, I've been happy with her performance as well.
Let's sell some tickets for this weekend. You're at home for these two games against Akron. You're at Victory Court, so back at home, back in your familiar digs. Talk about the atmosphere a little bit and what it's like to play in front of the home crowd.
Yeah, I love our community support. I think it's one of the best parts of being a Husky. I truly mean that. We are still building and that takes time, but despite that, you still feel true community support for not just the program, but for NIU. And to play in that environment is really hard to do. It gets loud in there. It's a different kind of gym than a lot of people play in. I think it helps to have home court advantage as much as you can. So I think the more we can lean into that, embrace that, build that, for our future as well is going to be a great thing for the program.
Other than some of the things we've already talked about, if you could give us just one or two reasons why we should come out to the games this weekend.
Yeah, I think this group really wants to keep fighting for, the wins, and they're not a group that's not competing. I think that's the one thing that I've been most proud of is how hard they are going to get the results that they want. So it's not a lack of desire to win, passion, or competition. So you are going to get that from this group. They're going to put their hearts on the floor and do the absolute best that they can to get the result that, we're all looking for. So I think the getting us back home and finding a way to get some confidence under our belt is really what this group needs. And we have a really good opportunity to do that this weekend.
Head volleyball coach Sondra D'Amore, thanks so much for your time. I know we're all looking forward to seeing this team get rolling in conference play.
Thank you.
Well, we had a good time today with our guests, Thomas Hammock and Sondra D'Amore, promoting some of the big events that are coming up on campus this week. Of course, football is home on Saturday against UMass, and volleyball will be home this weekend, Thursday and Friday night, as they take on Akron, the first two home games of MAC's season. Of course, those will be available to watch on ESPN Plus, so make sure that you are tuned in. But they're not the only teams in action this week. Of course, they'll be here in DeKalb, but several of the other fall sports teams are going on the road this weekend. So make sure you tune into those matches as well, and head, as always, to NIUHuskies.com for information on stats, full schedules, rosters, and so much more. The Husky soccer teams are on the road this week, along with cross country, tennis, and golf, as we look at the schedule over the course of the weekend. Volleyball, as I mentioned, Thursday, Friday. Tennis is in action at the Indiana University Hoosier Classic. That's all day on Friday, and Saturday and Sunday. Golf is going into the next week as well. Women's golf will be at the Illini Women's Invitational at Medina. That's a big one, Monday and Tuesday, October 7th and 8th next week. And soccer, as I mentioned, is going as well. Women's soccer on Saturday is at Bowling Green. That's a noon start time. And then the following day, men's soccer's in action, an evening contest Sunday night against Missouri State. That's down in Springfield, Missouri. Thank you, as always, for tuning in to NIU Weekly. Hope that you had a good time today, learning a little bit more about the football team, learning a little bit more about the volleyball team. I know I sure did, as I do every week, so I always appreciate our guests. One more time, those guests today were Thomas Hammock and Sondra D'Amore. You can see them in action this weekend in DeKalb. Thank you, as always, to everybody who's involved in NIU Weekly. That's Donna Turner, that's Kevin Meyer, everybody who helps to put this show together. I appreciate them. Hopefully you do as well. Hopefully you appreciate all the work that goes into this to get you updated on NIU sports each and every week. Be sure you're out in DeKalb this weekend. Support your Husky teams. Volleyball Thursday, Friday, football Saturday. Don't forget to like and subscribe to these videos, because you can not only get NIU Weekly every week, but we also have highlight videos, we have press conferences, and a whole lot more. So make sure you are with us on our YouTube channel all season long. And don't forget, this Saturday, football against UMass. That game will be available for you to listen to or to watch. I prefer to listen because I'm on the radio broadcast. I'll be with Andy Garcia and Mark Lindo. We'll be on the call on 94.9 WDKB for that one. It's a 10:30 start time to that pregame show because it is a morning game. Remember, 11 a.m. If you're not at Husky Stadium Saturday, and for whatever reason you don't want to listen to us on the radio, you can find the game on TV as well. It'll be broadcast on CBS Sports Network. So hopefully you're with us on Saturday. And if not, we'll definitely see you next week on another issue of NIU Weekly. Thanks for tuning in. Terry Bonadonna signing off. Talk to you next time. Go Huskies.